Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy here, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with some of my esteemed colleagues.
I'm Ted.
I'm Nate.
And today we're going to be looking at the optional rules in the Dungeons Master's Guide, starting on page 267. We got firearm, explosives,
And alien technology.
and alien technology. So now, it's funny because this comes directly from essentially first edition.
Right.
They had the same exact thing in the DMG, and they brought it back. And back in those days, I was so snobbish in my fantasy, I would never allow the crossing of the streams.
Be like, if you didn't have something good on the back, I'd rip you out, Paige.
yeah, pretty much. Years later, I would have loved to have this table for my Shattered Realm campaign because I started throwing in steampunk and Renaissance weapons, and and that was still third edition, so. I forget what resource I used, but there was definitely something that had introduced black powder weapons.
It was D&D Modern.
Yeah, but I don't think I used that.
Oh, okay.
That was definitely, but there was a different something for third edition that I was pulling that from because there was a power armor in there too. Which I used against you guys. I think I put goblins in steampunk powered armor.
Oh, there was so many crazy stuff in that game. It was impossible to remember it all.
And it was also like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
So, but that being said, there was a point in time I would never consider mixing that stuff up. But after you do the same kind of game for 20 or so years, you're like, I really want to do something else because like with our group, we were like, it was like all D&D.
It was purist, yeah.
Yeah, we never did anything else. We didn't stray. When I initially got into role playing, we would play everything, for like 1 or 2 sessions.
Right.
And then I started this group with you and Ryan and Nate, and a couple other people, and then it was like we played D&D. That's it.
Yeah, we didn't role play. We played D&D, and it was that way for 15 years or more before somebody said, well, what else is actually out there? I can remember there was, one of my friends who been with us for a while was like, look, can I convince you to do World of Darkness? And we sat through one session, and we
said, this isn't D&D.
We pretty much berated him. And it's like, it took us an hour and a half to go through, this combat. None of the systems, interwork with each other because the GM was so interested in getting us to play the game that he allowed mages and vampires and
he let us to break it
all at the table, and that system doesn't work for that. The new edition does, but so we went back to D&D for several more years before we went down another path and went into superheroes for a while.
It is funny when you talk about that too with like Vampire the Masquerade, because we're kind of like, dude, we all have to play the same thing. He's like, no, you're this and this and this. And like, no, we're all vampires, dude. It's the same thing. So, I don't know. We're kind of like grognards in that aspect. We're like, World of Darkness has all this cool stuff. We want a vampire and a werewolf and a mage. And, so now I digress because I'm way away from like the actual DMG we're talking about here.
So back to, mixing things up. We've got all these different really cool options that you can have, guys walking around with antimatter rifles, firing into people for 6 to 8 necrotic damage.
Like one of the original Gary Gygax modules was basically a spaceship that crashed. I don't actually remember the name of the module. It's pretty popular, and someone's going to put it in the comments just because I brought it up. But yeah, it introduced technology into the game,
right?
And it probably had something similar. Like here, you have figuring out the alien technology where. Basically you could like waste charges and stuff. It'd be better like it blows up, because you've been playing with it. I would, on a critical fail, I would probably just do that. How many charges are in that energy pack still? Oh yeah, they go off.
So it's streamlined, a little itty bitty figuring out alien technology table, but it's there and it's pretty hysterical. So I pretty much dig it.
There's enough here too. Say like if you want to run, a Renaissance game, or or if you want to run a
they've got them by kind of like era.
Yeah,
you've got Renaissance, modern, and futuristic.
Yeah, so but if you wanted to play a swashbuckler game and you want to use black powder, or basically a pirate game and use black powder, you have the information, you can just add it in. It's decent, but it's not game breaking.
It's a weapon you could put in a normal game. D10 and D12 piercing is not really.
It's only slightly better than your longbow.
And you're basically
and it
it's
costs
front
more.
it's front loaded for cost.
Right.
500 gold for a musket that does D12 piercing, plus the bullets aren't cheap and the powder's not cheap.
No.
So the powder is actually not. I don't see it.
It's
listed
kind of
here.
weird though. I think the ranges are off.
Oh, gunpowder keg.
Up here.
Yeah, so gunpowder keg or powder horn, 35 gold for 2 pounds of powder. So basically, you've got money. You're basically shooting your money when you do this.
Yeah,
you're
you're loading gold pieces right
yeah,
into it.
yeah. It's like, oh, better just put instead of bullets. Let me use this gold piece and silver piece together. Take that, werewolf.
What do you think of the range increments though?
I think for old school Renaissance gear, a 30 range before it becomes disadvantage is appropriate for a pistol.
Yeah, but what about when you get into mod? Yeah, I really feel like a hunting rifle has a better range than a longbow. I'm sorry.
Let's see.
Because a longbow is 120, 360, right?
Yeah, and the actual crossbow is long range is 400. So I feel like the ranges are way off on the modern weapons. And I kind of feel like you go futuristic, it's going to be better than modern, not worse.
Well, I think that I would argue that the physical shot is gonna, like the rifle bullet's gonna go longer than an antimatter rifle, just because it's
Energy disperses.
effective at a certain range.
But what about against the longbow? Look, dude, I just watched American Sniper, and that motherfucker killed someone from a mile out. Dude, they're showing you what he saw through the sniper scope. I couldn't see it.
I'm no gun expert, so if you guys watching are gun experts and want to critique what we're saying, feel free to put them in the comments.
Dude, it was in the movie. It's a true story. It's got to be real.
Like I know that
Based off a true
there are
story.
snipers with like serious setups that can do those kind of extreme ranges.
Kincaid talks about it, so it's got to be
Oh,
possible.
well, of course, yes. This fictional half-fiendish character from a book series that we read.
How can you dispute something someone said with the nickname of the Hellhound? Come on.
Because in the same series, the wizard rides a dinosaur.
That he brought back to life.
Not really. It's a zombie dinosaur. Don't be retarded, Ted.
Sorry, guys, for the spoiler alerts. But,
So-
in real life, yes, there are certain situations that are extreme with severe proficiency and with the right setup. You can do those kind of long-range situations. But I think for Rheumatics, they wanted to go with what they felt was the
They
average.
broke their own rule schematics. If the longbow is 600, right, a hunting rifle is further than that.
I don't think the longbow is 600. I think it's like 400 or
The
360.
crossbow is 400. I just did a whole article on archers.
Okay. He's in the know right now.
A week from now, I will completely have forgotten all of that, but for right now...
Well, I like the idea of using alien technology in the game if it's appropriate, like Space Crash. Maybe Illithits have got a pocket energy pistol. That kind of.
The Spelljammer game, I find that like this stuff like sporadic throughout that would definitely be appropriate.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love for my...
Orcs with anti-matter rifles for sure.
Meep. I fear for my ship.
As long as we kill them before they annihilate us.
Oh, come on, you got what's his face? What you got?
Now, I feel the antimatter rifle is definitely more of an artillery kind of feel to it because you get 2 shots between reloads, and that's just not economical for a fight.
6x8, then you pull out your weapon.
Well, I mean, the idea is they're the people that you wanted to shoot are both dead, and then you're like, all right, reload for the next encounter.
Although, I could see reworking the crossbow expert feat to get rid of the load property.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think
Speed loading.
I think when I see the antimatter rifle and I see it's a 2-shotter, it really just makes me think of like a double barrel shotgun.
Right.
Yeah, and so you have antimatter charges. You got to drop them individually.
Yeah.
Maybe they're big like canisters or they're individual canisters. They haven't figured out how to put those canisters on a belt yet. But once they do, antimatter Gatling gun. That's what the orcs need. They'll be the ones to figure that out. Because they're not afraid to lose an orc or two in figuring it out.
No, that's
Dude,
true.
they're gonna lose
during usage.
They're gonna lose half their civilization because once they get it working, somebody's just gonna start firing.
Like, this is awesome.
It'll be like Steve Buscemi in Armageddon when he flips out.
So, if you've got any ideas for an antimatter Gatling gun, let us know. All right, so of this section here, firearms, explosives, alien technology, grenades. What is your favorite part of it, Nate?
The alien tech.
tech?
Especially because the alien tech includes chainsaw.
What?
Oh yeah, totally. Chainsaw.
Complex items such as a computer, chainsaw, or hovercraft.
Oh yeah. Well,
how about you, Dave? What's
I like the Renaissance personally because I think that would more easily fit into it, and it's not that far off. I mean, Pathfinder, they've got a class built right around basically using firearms.
Right.
So if you wanted to port something like that into your 5e game, this gives you the basics on how to do it. I mean, clearly you have to be from a noble family or own a small nation to do it. But by jolly if you do.
Well, the process of making gunpowder in reality is really a pain in the butt if you don't have an industrialized civilization.
right?
So, it's a pain.
Well, I agree with pretty much both of you guys. I think the firearms is the Renaissance items firearms are the most usable in a standard 5e game. If you want to put your game on that cusp of, okay, well, some people are aware of firearms and others aren't, and you don't have to have, hey, look at this, all the parties got firearms. You could have that as a political situation where it's like, all right, this nation has got access to these things, whereas this one doesn't. What's going to wind up happening?
The ones without it win because they can outshoot them from a range of 600 feet.
And then from the other side of the spectrum, having a game that you've got a crashed alien spaceship or some kind of bizarre technology that gets whisked through a portal, it lands in this utterly fantasy era, and you can have a computer chainsaw or antimatter rifle show up in a game and see what the players do with it.
Especially if it's energy-based concept and it's not magic-based.
Mm-hmm.
If it's technology-based, then it's got a limited amount of use.
Absolutely.
Unless it's got some kind of nuclear battery or something that's going to recharge itself,
Right.
Similar to a wand would recharge itself over time.
Right.
Then you're going to have this situation. Well, yeah, you've got a laser pistol and you've got 50 shots or 32 shots or something like that. So learning how to use it and then getting 5 proficient shots off before it's done.
Yeah. Well, they introduced one new property too.
Okay.
Opposed to what's already exists in the game, and that's burst. And sadly enough, there's only one weapon that gets it, and that's automatic rifle. But basically, in a 10-foot area, you're just like, all right, I'm just unloading everything right there, and you don't have to make attack rolls. They make a saving throw for half damage.
Right. It basically is like a spell effect.
But you can hit everybody in that area.
Yeah.
Which is a good. I think that's a good feature for something that is an automatic weapon that's going to shoot.
I agree.
I misspoke. It's DC 15 dexterity save or none or no damage. So for everybody, so you can cover a big area. But that's a decent saving throw too. That's no
DC 15 saving throw or take the weapon's normal damage.
Yeah.
So what effect does burst fire do?
It's 2d8 automatic rifle. So and it's not exactly game breaking. It's the equivalent of a first level spell. Yeah, more or less. Yeah, Thunderwave. Yeah, basically it's a Thunderwave.
It uses 10 bullets, or 10 pieces of ammunition. So it's not. Right. It's appropriate, I think.
So you can do it 3 times before you have to slap another clip in. I don't know about you guys, but like with all this stuff, I just didn't envision an orc doing it. It's just better when an orc's doing it for some reason.
I feel like that's the Warhammer 40K influence on me, thinking about orcs doing all kinds of crazy stuff with explosives and things.
I can totally see a dwarf with the cigar, lit and the automatic rifle gun.
Oh, speaking of dwarves,
Dude, maybe we should do a Shadowrun style game for modern.
Flamethrower is missing from this list.
Oh man,
and I am disappointed.
Dude, I bet you Flamethrower was in the 1E version.
Probably
like game balance. What's that?
All right, Nate, it's up to you.
Well, you do Burning Hands or
yeah, I mean, really, you would just model it after a spell.
Yeah. That's another suggestion I have.
Oh no, you model it after I would model it after Dragonborn breath weapon. 30-foot cone, 2d6.
Yeah, that seems appropriate. Uses a charge, and they have several many charges in their canister of flammable liquids.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and one of the things I was thinking of when I was looking at these futuristic weapons is you could have...
So did anybody else just picture an orc just trying to light a cigar with the flamethrower?
That's how he got the lit cigar. And he burnt down a tree.
And half his face. What were you saying, Nate?
I was saying that you could get the feel of like a futuristic weapon with a cantrip gun. I was thinking of a magic item that could be usable by anybody, and it's basically just either like a little baton or something. Like it's like a rod or a staff, similar concept, but it just blasts a cantrip, and you can do it as many times as you have charges, or you could it just does it all the time, like it recharges. I mean, that would be really powerful, giving anybody a cantrip. But, you could set the level.
What the hell are they? High elves?
oh, yeah. You could set it at whatever, hey, I just want to give you this first level cantrip. Oh, it'd be cool that the warrior has some kind of flaming range attack or something like that. That's what I was just thinking, that you could make it a magical thing rather than an energy burst.
A rod
weapon.
of shocking grasp is basically a cattle prod.
Yeah, so you can translate newer technologies into the 5th edition landscape without making it like, oh, this is from an alien technology or something like that.
Or you could really just make it a cattle prod.
Yeah.
So you pull out the brush and you paint future tech with a magic item and all is well.
Well, first there is need, then there's facility. So when you need something to happen, you can, especially if you're a crazy gnome.
Orcs with shock sticks. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if you have any comments out there about this cool section of the DMG, go ahead and put them in the comments below. While you're doing that, please click like, share, and subscribe.
You can hang out with us on Facebook.
You can also join the conversation over on Reddit.
So until next time,
stay
nerdy. Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy here, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with some of my esteemed colleagues.
I'm Ted.
I'm Nate.
And today we're going to be looking at the optional rules in the Dungeons Master's Guide. Because like with our group, we were like, it was like all D&D.
It was purist, yeah.
Yeah, we never did anything else. We didn't stray. When I initially got into role-playing, we would play everything, for like 1 or 2 sessions.
Right.
And then I started this group with you and Ryan and Nate, and a couple other people, and then it was like we played D&D. That's it.
Yeah, we didn't role play. We played D&D, and it was that way for 15 years or more.
Pretty much. Years later, I would have loved to have this table for my Shattered Realm campaign because I started throwing in steampunk and Renaissance weapons, and and that was still 3rd edition, so. I forget what resource I used, but there was definitely something that had introduced black powder weapons.
It was D&D Modern.
Yeah, but I don't think I used that.
Oh, okay.
That was definitely, but there was a different something for 3rd edition that I was pulling that from, because there was a power armor in there too.
Oh,
Which I used against you guys. I think I put goblins in steampunk powered armor.
oh, there was so many crazy stuff in that game. It impossible to remember it all.
And it was also like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
So, but that being said, there was a point in time I would never consider mixing that stuff up. But after you do the same kind of game for 20 or so years, you're like, I really want to do something else. Because starting on page 267, we got firearm, explosives,
And alien technology.
So now, it's funny because this comes directly from essentially 1st edition. They had the same exact thing in the DMG, and they brought it back. And back in those days, I was so snobbish in my fantasy, I would never allow the crossing of the streams.
Be like, if you didn't have something good on the back, I'd rip you out, Paige.
Yeah.